So for my persuasive speech, I will be explaining why I think there should be uniforms in public schools. Teens already tend to be rule breakers when it comes to dress code, so therefore, I think that if uniforms were enforced, there wouldn't be any problems with short shorts, spaghetti straps, or low-cut ones, etc. Throughout the speech, I will be explaining dress codes and having a uniform. Dress code is when you have the ability to wear what you want for as long as you want, as long as you follow the guidelines. A uniform is something that you are required to wear, and everyone looks the same. According to today's survey, 78% of people said there need to be standards for school attire for children and teens, and that's an article by Murray. In a lot of public schools today, there are dress codes. Dress codes may seem like a good thing, however, a lot of people don't truly understand them. Teen girls are often penalized for violating the dress code. That's also from Murray. While dress code is supposed to make a school environment more conducive to learning, it often does the opposite. In the past year, schools all over the country have made a national news for the way they enforce their dress code. There were instances where teachers would ask students to put duct tape over the holes in their jeans, suspending a student for a skirt that was too short, or sending a student to the office for not wearing a bra. And that was by Barrett. There are many different sources to the internet that talk about these problems, and I will be talking about this in the speech. In my speech, I will be explaining the pros of having a uniform in a public school, a survey that explains why dress codes are too confusing to parents and students, and talk about my personal experience with having a uniform. For my first main point, I will be explaining the pros of having a uniform in a public school. School uniforms may deter crime and increase student safety. According to procon.org in Long Beach, California, after 2 years of a district-wide K-8 mandatory uniform policy, results of assault and battery in the district school decreased by 34% assault, with deadly weapon dropped by 50%, fighting incidents went down 51%, sex offenses were cut by 74%, robbery dropped by 65%, possessions of weapons or weapon lookalikes decreased by 52%, possession of drugs went down by 69%, and lastly, vandalism went down by 18%. Another school in Nevada noticed a decrease in negative activity as well. A year after Sparks Middle School instituted a uniform policy, school police data showed a 63% drop in police dog rates. A decrease were also noted in gang activities, student fights, graffiti, property damage, and battery. A peer-reviewed study found that in schools with historically higher rates of sexual violence, sexual attacks were less likely in uniform policies. That's from procon.org. Another pro about having a school uniform is that they keep students focused on their education and not their clothes. A bulletin published by the National Association of Secondary School Principals stated that when all students were wearing the same outfit, they were less concerned about how they looked and how they fit in with their peers. Thus, they can concentrate on their schoolwork. Chris Hammonds, the principal of Woodlands Middle School in Alene, started the uniform provide less distraction, less drama, and focus on learning. For my second main point, I will be explaining a survey that explains why dress codes are confusing for students too. And I have this chart that says that 78% agree that it's confusing and 22% disagree that it's not confusing. According to an article by Rihanna Murray in the Today, polled nearly 17,000 people between the ages of 18 and 64 find out what they think about dress code. 78% said that children and teens need standards for school attire, such as a uniform. With this percentage so high, I believe that introducing uniforms to schools would help with this high number. There are so many issues that come with having dress code, and the ones happen all the time is that teens break rules. If we were to set down rules and change our schools into having a uniform, the issue of students being sent to the office for something wrong with their outfit would help. Lastly, I will be talking about my personal experience with having to wear a uniform. From pre-K to 8th grade, I had to wear one. Wearing a uniform was super simple, with only a few different colored shirts to choose from. Wearing a uniform was super simple because it made it easy to get dressed in the morning. Everyone at school looked the same except the colored shirts. It made our school look nice and put together, and I personally had no problem with it. In conclusion, overall, there are people who will never agree with wearing a uniform. However, with the research that I did, I definitely had my perspective changed and made me realize that some things I wouldn't think would have an effect due to people wearing a uniform. Throughout my speech, I have talked about the pros of wearing a uniform, explaining a survey based on uniforms, and my personal experience. Hopefully, this speech persuaded you to think more about our schools and how much better off we'd be in uniforms.